Welcome. Today is a topic that I don't say wrestled, but something I've struggled to understand for a very, very long time. And it kind of goes back to my high school days. If anyone knows me, they know that I really hated my high school. I thought it was the worst place in the world. And it wasn't because I was a kid who was like a loner and trench coat school shooter vibes. It was more so I had an expectation for how people would act, and most people failed my expectations. And granted, I think because of my background, where I come from, and maybe some of the things that I read growing up, my expectation for high school was that people would be a lot more open-minded, but I think I forgot where I live and where I come from. Just as a quick background, I went to a predominantly white high school, and I'd say, well, they weren't explicitly, a racist institution. I'd say that implicitly, there were some times as though I felt that they weren't sensitive to maybe the cultures of African Americans or Hispanic Americans. And with that being said, they could defend it by saying, we're a majority white place. Why would we spend time understanding or sympathizing or empathizing with the cultures of others? That'd be a nice thing to do, but, theoretically, they don't really have to. But I'd like them to, and I would have liked them to. Now, I was able to speak with someone who I went to high school with, who I actually honestly didn't even knew who I was, because I was a background character. If my high school was a High School Musical, I was one of the extras who was doing the dance off to the side. With that being said, I found it very interesting because I was talking to him and I was telling him, I didn't really like high school. And he's like, why didn't you like high school? And I said, because there were so many times where people would, be mean or disparage others, and no one would stand up, right? I did my fair share of standing up whenever I saw something, because that's just who I am as a person. I hate the idea of being mean to someone for no reason, or even if there is a reason, there's no need to be just as nasty as a person. You can amicably come to a solution, right? But what I can't stand is when there's a group of people singling out another person, and no one in that group will stand up for that person. And I saw that a lot in high school, and that's what made me feel as though, my high school is just a trash ass place, is because I felt as though the morals of a lot of the people that I went to high school with were just shattered, broken. But speaking to this person made me come to find that that wasn't the case. He told me that a lot of us understood that what was going on was wrong. But you have to understand, Cyril, we just wanted to survive. We wanted to fit in. We wanted to not ruffle the status quo. We just wanted to keep our heads down and, be the popular kids, or, continue, quote unquote, living the way we were living. And, I think he wanted me to have some sympathy for him. And I honestly can't. I really don't understand how people can justify not standing up to injustice by saying, well, it's just, it's the way things are. We don't want to be the nail that sticks out, because the nail that sticks out gets hammered, right? And maybe it's how I grew up or who I am as a person. I don't have that luxury, or I can't live that way. I can't see things that are wrong and not point them out. And I've lost a lot of friends because of it. And you know what? Fuck those people. I really could care less. I do not tolerate foolishness to that degree. You will not be my friend if you're that kind of person. You really won't be. And you can ask any of my friends. I definitely call them out, especially with what's going on now, with kind of the racial injustice going on. I definitely call people out when it comes to, Black Lives Matter and things like that, which is, I don't want to see you posting stuff about Black people and Black lives, and then when it really comes down to it, the nitty gritty, when someone's in your face about, do you claim that African American, or is that person your friend, right? And you start backtracking or things like that. Just, I don't want there to be any instance in where people ride real hard for Black Lives Matter online and, are very vocal online. But when it comes to brass tacks, face to face, they renege on what they say. When they have to, this is a perfect example. I have a friend who hardcore Black Lives Matter when she's around Black lives. Like when she's around progressive people who understand Black Lives Matter, she's very vocal about Black Lives Matter. But when I go visit her at her family's place, her family is pretty conservative. And I'm not saying that conservatives hate Black people, but these conservatives aren't very fond of African Americans, right? And so every once in a while, I have to make the forbidden trek to her house, and we see her parents, and her parents are always, kind of talking a certain type of way about African Americans, and she's dead silent. She's dead silent. And my issue is, why not ride as hard? For you yelling Black Lives Matter in front of people who already believe that does absolutely nothing. It is you speaking to those who have a differing opinion to you. That is when things are going to change, right? That is when we're actually going to see people realize that maybe there's some gravitas to what you're saying, right? But she's always dead silent. And when I ask her, she's like, well, those are my parents, and I don't want to ruffle the feathers, in the way the family is, and I don't want to be the person that, makes the family dinner awkward and things like that. And I always go, fuck that shit. If your parents are racist people, you need to call them out for their racism. And she's like, well, you wouldn't understand. And the thing is, maybe I don't understand. And that is what I want you guys to educate me on, which is, why is it when there's a right thing to do, people will forgo the right thing to do to fit in or to not break up the status quo? That is my question to you guys. Thank you.